Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. The headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari receives Economic Sustainability Plan. Senate passes revised 2020 budget of 10.805 trillion naira. Plus, as number of coronavirus cases rises, Malaysia bars citizens from Hajj. And now the news in detail. To commemorate Nigeria's Democracy Day, President Muhammadu Buhari will address the nation at 7 a.m. on Friday, June 12, 2020. Television and radio stations, as well as other electronic media outlets, are enjoined to hook up to the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority and Radio Nigeria for the broadcast. The federal government has declared Friday, June 12, 2020 as public holiday to mark Democracy Day. As the impact of the coronavirus pandemic bites harder on the global economy, especially the West African sub-region, Nigeria President Muhammadu Buhari has called on the ECOWAS Commission to come up with an economic recovery plan to help member states recover from the economic devastation caused by the pandemic. The president made the call in a virtual meeting with President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassibrou. Edo State, State House correspondent, reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in his capacity as the ECOWAS COVID-19 champion, agrees to provide logistics support to enable the sub-region receive and distribute procured and donated medical equipment, using Abuja as the hub for the distribution. The president expresses appreciation on behalf of ECOWAS member states for contributions and swift interventions in the procurement of medical supplies to West African Health Organization and the Africa Center for Disease Control from organizations and development partners. President Buhari, who observes that the pandemic is yet to reach its peak in the sub-region, warns against laxity in the fight and urges member states to work closely in order to overcome the pandemic. President of ECOWAS Commission advocates additional strategies to assist the sub-region in fighting the health and economic impact of COVID-19, which includes the need for advocacy at continental and global levels for support, awareness campaign among citizens, and effective customs, security, and health protocols put in place throughout the sub-region. In the State House, Jude Onifade, NJ News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has formally submitted to President Muhammadu Buhari a compendium titled Bouncing Back, the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan. The report by the Economic Sustainability Committee, headed by the Vice President, recommends far-reaching measures towards converting prevailing crises occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic to a victory for the Nigerian economy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The report is a product of wide consultations and inputs from the Economic Advisory Committee, 36 state governors, and leadership of the National Assembly. It also took into account the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, report of the Economic Crisis Committee, the Finance Act 2019, CBN proposals, as well as the National Economic Council report on the COVID-19 crisis. Chairman of the Economic Sustainability Committee and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who submitted the report, said the key to the success of the plan is faithful implementation.
We are confident that if the proposals are taken as a whole and implemented consensuously, Nigeria will avert the worst of the impending economic headwinds and convert this crisis to a victory for the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian people.
Hinged on President Buhari's mantra to produce what we eat and consume what we produce, the report recommends mass agricultural and housing programs to create millions of new jobs, extensive public works and road construction program using locally available materials, as well as the installation of solar home system targeting 5 million households, serving the 25 million Nigerians not connected to the national grid.
We've also recommended support for local production and manufacturing of all that is possible, including technology applications, software, shoes, garments, steel fabrication, ceramics, and furniture, with the required capital and essential machinery. We've also recommended the provision of ample support for the informal sector through low-interest loans, support for MSMEs, especially in assisting to restructure their loans with banks, the expansion of the social investment program through an increase in the number of cash transfer beneficiaries, an increase in the number of N-Power volunteers, and sundry traders enjoying small and micro loans to cover a large number of the extremely poor.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who applauded the Economic Sustainability Committee for completing what he called the critical national assignment in good time, expressed the belief that with the help of God and high sense of duty to posterity, Nigeria will successfully reset her economy for a brighter future.
As we go forward, we must chart a new course and remain steadfast. I believe the priorities contained in this plan present a practical way of achieving our desire of a truly competitive economy that can support our people and secure our future.
President Buhari saluted Nigerians for their resilience in adapting to the realities of the COVID-19 effects while continuing to recognize the superhuman efforts of the frontline health workers who continue to play a critical role in keeping the country and the people safe.
We have a great work ahead of us. Government revenues have diminished considerably, largely due to the fall in oil prices. So, we must prepare for difficult times while government continues to seek ways to implement what I consider a national plan.
The ultimate objective of the Economic Sustainability Plan is to provide succor to Nigerians, taking into account the dangers posed to the economy by the global economic slowdown. Several projections show that if Nigeria fails to take prompt preemptive measures, unemployment may rise to 3.6% by the end of 2020. Millions more will fall into extreme poverty, and depending on the strength of the economic response, GDP may also fall to between minus 4.40% and minus 8.91%. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And still talking the economy, the Senate has passed the revised 2020 budget of 10.810 trillion naira, of which 422 billion is for statutory transfers, 2.9 trillion debt servicing, 4.9 trillion for recurrent expenditure, while 2.4 trillion goes to capital expenditure. The amendment of the budget was necessitated by the impact of COVID-19 on the global economy. Meanwhile, the Senate has confirmed the appointments of Justice Monica Dongban Mensem as President, Court of Appeal, and James Giakulu as Commissioner, Federal Character Commission. 42 ambassadorial nominees have also been confirmed as career ambassadors designate. Meanwhile, the Senate has urged the federal government to direct the Nigerian Armed Forces to beef up security personnel and equipment in Borno North Senatorial District following the recent attack which led to the death of more than 80 persons in Gubbio District by Boko Haram. The House of Representatives is holding a special session with security chiefs for a brief on the state of security across Nigeria. Before the meeting proceeded behind closed doors, House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila commended the service chiefs for what they have done so far. He added that lawmakers are unhappy because constituents are in despair considering the recent spike of security breaches in parts of the country. He said the meeting is meant to chart a way forward. In the meantime, the House at plenary on Thursday honored DCP Abba Kyari with an award of excellence for his commitment to duty. The recipient expressed gratitude for the recognition and dedicated the award to the IGP, his entire team at the Nigeria Police Intelligence Response Team, and all officers who lost their lives in the course of duty. Now, the 9th National Assembly is commemorating its first anniversary, and we have in the studio spokesman of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, to speak on achievements and challenges in the last 1 year. It's good to have you join us here in our studios.
Thank you very much.
Now, the last 1 year has been eventful for the 9th National Assembly. What are the notable achievements recorded in this space of time?
Thank you very much. When we arrived to commence our duty at the National Assembly for the 9th National Assembly, we observed that there was this acrimony between the executive and the legislative arm due to misunderstanding of what roles each supposed to play. And also there was this lack of information between the public and the understanding of the legislative arm. And to be able to clear that, we immediately set into motion an instrument to help us realize, to bridge the gap. And that we call the legislative agenda. The legislative agenda was set out to take care of issues bordering on social justice, issues on public health, issues on the economy, issues on national budget reform, and a whole lot of them, including insecurity. But to achieve this, immediately the House went into establishing what we call the House committees. The House committees, they were 95 in number when we came in, but due to the hydra-headed needs of Nigeria and the need to address them urgently, in the wisdom of the leadership of the House under Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, the number of the House committee was increased from 95 to 105. And qualified men were asked to handle this. And one of the other instruments we use in taking care of these needs of Nigeria was our bills, our motions, the petitions that came through the House, as well as what we call the legislative intervention and diplomacy. And starting with the bills, the House in the last 1 year recorded a total of 863 bills, out of which 36 bills were passed. And these bills were, real solution providers to most of our needs in Nigeria. Some of them captured economic stimulus bill. Some of them you will hear of the finance bill. You will also hear of the interest-free education loan, electricity bills that had to do with electricity, and all the rest of them. And the striking thing that we did also was to revise the budget calendar of the nation from what it used to be to what it is now, which is January to December. An enormous achievement which the executive actually longed for in the 8th Assembly, and they could not secure that. We made sure we made that possible because we knew the impact of that in our national economy, especially with regards to our development. So we got that out of the way. And then all through motions also, we've been able to intervene and tackle a few things. Total number of motions we have moved in the House for the past 1 year was, as of yesterday, 364 motions.
So those
Only
are
one
the
was negative among all these motions. And these motions also were there to address most of the needs of Nigeria, including evacuation of stranded Nigerians in diaspora who wanted to come back, also to take care of COVID needs and of the nation, and other issues that sprang up. Those motions were used to to address them. There have been a lot of petitions. At the moment, we have a total of 151
let me cut
petitions.
you there because we're fast running out of time. And, you know, all these achievements are quite interesting, especially as they're in the interest of Nigerians. But what more should Nigerians look forward to in the coming years?
Yeah, what Nigerians should look forward to is, you know, we are living in changing times because COVID-19 changed the dynamics of governance and a whole lot of things. And in order to respond effectively to these, the House today passed a motion to adopt a reviewed legislative agenda. It was reviewed not because the other one was weak, but in view of the challenges of the COVID-19, it was no longer sufficient to address the needs that they were set out to achieve. And so Nigerians are going to see a new innovation in the way things are done in the House, especially the Parliament, which was not part of the administration of the Parliament, which was not part of the old legislative agenda, have been captured by this, and the electronic way of handling businesses of the House to make sure that COVID will not stop us from getting things done. And also insecurity, like you had today. We started, actually today is the first day of the new section, the second section of the House of Representatives 9th Assembly, second section. And we started it with giving award to Abba Kyari, who is from the police, who has done extremely well because we're interested in insecurity and we wanted to commend those who are doing well for Nigeria. And we also went into an in-house discussion with all the security chiefs who took their time to explain the challenges they are having, and also we express ourselves based on what our constituents had communicated to us on the level of insecurity in the country. So, and we have come to an agreement to a certain level on how to approach some of these issues. So Nigerians should be hopeful that we are coming back after 2 weeks as a more consolidated, as a more unified, as a more focused House that will not be giving excuses based on the challenges of COVID-19, but will come with an advanced methodology of getting things done to the satisfaction of those who have elected us to be here.
Thank you very much,
We are a people-oriented
Mr.
parliament, and we are assuring you that all the activities we are going to do when we resume in 2 weeks' time will be people-oriented as well. So have confidence in us. We are here to represent you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalu. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
That was the spokesman of the House of Representatives, Mr. Benjamin Kalu. You're watching the news. It's time for a break. The news will continue shortly.
Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Still on COVID-19, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has expressed concern over the recent spike in cases in the country. PTF Chairman Boss Mustafa, who raised this concern at the daily briefing, said the best Democracy Day celebration is to abide by the guidelines to prevent further spread of infections in the country. Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Hanire, said the task force will soon unfold strategies to contain the pandemic in identified high-burden local government areas in the country.
For targeted community sensitization activities, especially in 20 high-burden local government areas with sensitization workshops on infection prevention and control for healthcare workers, both in public and private hospitals.
Sometimes these numbers are necessary to remind us of that reality. While the numbers of death as a proportion might appear small, these are all people that many of us have gotten to know, and every day you get to hear about one other friend or relative that unfortunately has passed away.
TF National Coordinator Dr. Sani Aliu said a survey shows that about 98% of Nigerians are aware of COVID-19. And up next is the global update on COVID-19.
Pakistan Health Minister Zafar Mirza has downplayed a World Health Organization warning on reimposing a lockdown in some areas of the country in order to curb the spread of the novel coronavirus in the South Asian nation. Zafar Mirza said Pakistan has made best sovereign decisions in the best interest of its people in making tough policy to strike a balance between lives and livelihoods. Indonesia authority says it has arrested at least 33 suspects allegedly snatching bodies of COVID-19 victims from several hospitals for burial according to their wishes. Provincial Police spokesman Ibrahim Tompo said the suspects have been detained by police. He said if convicted, the suspects face up to 7 years in prison and $7,000 in fines for violating health laws. And Malaysia government has barred its citizens from performing this year's Hajj pilgrimage over the new coronavirus, following in the steps of neighboring Indonesia, which is also a Muslim majority nation. Every year, Malaysia sends tens of thousands of pilgrims to Saudi Arabia. United States cases of coronavirus have surged past 2 million from data compiled by the Maryland-based Johns Hopkins University. The country has so far registered about 2.1 million of COVID-19 infections, including nearly 113,000 deaths and more than 533,000 recoveries. On the COVID-19 dashboard of Worldometer at about 6:50 p.m. local time, 7,532,277 persons have been infected with coronavirus globally. 421,065 deaths recorded, while 3,818,919 have recovered. Out of these figures, African continent has 210,153 cases, 5,692 deaths, and 95,781 recoveries. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has reported 13,873 cases of the deadly coronavirus, 382 deaths, and 4,351 persons have recovered, leaving the country with 9,140 active cases. I'm Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Adebola. And now to Electoral Matters. 6 governorship aspirants on the platform of the All Progressives Congress ahead of the Edo State governorship primary elections have been screened at the party's national secretariat in Abuja. The chairman of the screening committee, Professor Jonathan Ayuba, said the outcome of the exercise is subject to approval and confirmation by the party's National Working Committee.
Ours is to do our assignment. Ours is not to pass judgment because we are not a court of law. Ours is to make recommendation. And I urge you to wait for the official release of such recommendations by the party.
One of the aspirants, an incumbent governor of Edo State and incumbent Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, shared his experience with journalists about the exercise held behind closed doors.
Certificates from the University of Ibadan with all the signatures and so whatever they deduct did. Has been tendered. There were a few other questions that were asked, but like I said, as a party man, I've gone through the screening process, but I do not believe that I'll get justice because Comrade Adams Oshomole is an interested party in the Edo process. One of the questions I was asked, which I was, was that why did I issue a gazette that will prevent the party from performing direct elections in Edo? That didn't I see it as an anti-party activity? I just felt that, when we now put the issue of politics above the lives of the citizens of Edo State, then we may be missing the point.
The Edo APC direct primary election is scheduled to hold on 22nd June 2020. And ahead of the September governorship election in Edo State, the People's Democratic Party and some others in opposition say they have resolved to work towards the victory of their parties. Timothy Yusuf reports.
So far, the PDP primary screening committee for the Edo State governorship election, headed by Kingsley Chinda, has screened 4 aspirants at its sitting. The exercise was conducted behind closed door, except for Kenneth Imansuangbon, who was screened via virtual method.
Our leadership selection process must be reformed.
Our aspirants are working very hard and penetrating the grassroots in Edo State.
National chairman of the Action Democratic Party, Yabagi Yusuf Sani, has explained that the party will be participating fully in the forthcoming Edo and Ondo States governorship elections.
The ADP campaign machinery is already in place for the Edo and Ondo governorship election. Many aspirants have intimated us of their intention to run under our platform, while some are still consulting.
The ADP national chairman also commended President Muhammadu Buhari for signing an Executive Order 10 enforcing the financial autonomy of the state legislature and judiciary. The National Conscience Party, one among the political parties deregistered by INEC after the 2019 general elections, has applauded the nation's election management body's guidelines on Edo and Ondo elections, as it also seeks for credible elections.
Everybody should play the game by the rules. Election is not a do or die affair.
In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
And on the security front, the Nigerian military says the Air Task Force of Operation Laifia Adoli has destroyed a Boko Haram terrorist hideout and neutralized some of their fighters at Kachakole in the Sambisa Forest General Area of Borno State. In a statement by the coordinator, Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, the operation was executed on 10th June 2020 following intelligence reports indicating that the location was being used as a staging area and meeting venue for the terrorists, from where they planned and launched attacks against troops, locations and civilian settlements within the Sector 1 area of responsibility, including the Maiduguri-Damaturu Highway. Following this confirmation, the Air Task Force dispatched a surveillance aircraft and fighter jets to attack the hideout, leading to the destruction of some of the structures as well as the neutralization of several of the terrorists. The Chief of the Air Staff commends the Air Task Force and urges them to intensify the air offensive against the terrorists. And that's the news on NTA International. Thanks for watching. Remember that COVID-19 is real. Stay safe.